What's up, folks? This is just another red shirt here, and I wanted to record a quick little update video, kind of give you the skinny on what's going on. Yeah, so I believe I've mentioned before in the past in previous videos that I travel for work. Now, doing YouTube stuff, recording videos, playing video games is only a hobby for me presently, and it probably will be for the foreseeable future. I doubt I'll ever become a professional YouTuber, and you know what? I'm pretty much okay with that. I just do this as a hobby because it's fun. Don't really have any aspirations of any grandiose designs or anything silly like that. Now, that said, I've recently been promoted at work, so I'm going to likely be traveling significantly more frequently here in the future, so I don't know when I'm even going to get a chance to do recordings and whatnot. With that said, even when I'm not traveling, my weekends are usually dedicated to conducting personal business and catching up on sleep, which then leaves little time for video recording, game playing, or even editing, whenever that might start taking place once I learn how to. So, between being poorly rested and also trying to narrate what's going on inside the game as I'm looking at it and showing it to you fine folks, my speech pattern tends to stray into the child of William Shatner and Christopher Walken territory, which that's not actually how I speak when I'm better rested, and I'm not actually having to pay attention to something else. The exception right now being where I'm walking and my notes I have here over here to my right hand side. Now, next bullet point, editing. I had intended by now for episode 6 to be out, but yeah, about that. Again, travel, little time at home, not knowing even how to edit in the first place, and I'm a hack, and I should get off the internet. It turns out I was recording in the wrong file format. YouTube doesn't seem to mind FLV a whole lot, but the default setting for OBS is FLV, which, those of you that know what the hell you're doing, Sony Vegas doesn't read that, like, at all. So, I had to convert that file for episode 6 into MP4, which Sony Vegas will play nice with so that I can edit it. Haven't even started doing that. The conversion last night took actually a fair amount of time, and by the time it was complete, it was, pretty much time for bed. Now, on to other things, other news, two rather important, I guess you could call them important in one case, things that happened this past week. Satoru Iwata from Nintendo passed away, untimely passing at the age of 55. He was instrumental to the development of many games and the reinvigoration of Nintendo. Now, I don't know that I have a whole lot to say when it comes to speaking about his untimely passing, and much to add to the dialogue of memorializing him. But I will say that one of the many games that he did have a hand in was the Legend of Zelda series, of which I was or still am, a very big fan of some of the earlier games. I kind of fell off in later iterations of the title, but the early ones, the original Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, which is one of the little liked ones, but I still enjoyed it, and most notably the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. These games were rather formative in both my video game playing and in my imagination developing. Even though I am not really actually that big of a fan of the fantasy genre, I very greatly and deeply enjoyed the Legend of Zelda series, and I do believe if you take a very, very deep, close look at the science fiction that I write, chances are you might see some of that influence in my writing. So, That said, I only have one more thing to say about that, and that is Domo arigato Satoru Iwata sensei. Thank you. Now, in more interesting and exciting news this past week as well, the New Horizons probe passed Pluto after a 9-year and 4.6 billion mile journey to the dwarf planet Pluto. Now, some of you out there may be thinking that have only a passing interest in this event, that everything's all said and done and all that's left is to look at the pretty pictures. Well, boy howdy, let me tell you. New Horizons has collected so much data, the bandwidth and throughput that it has at its disposal will take it a full 26 months to download all of that information back to Earth. So if you're thinking all that's left is the data analysis, we got at least another 2 years before we even have all of that data. Not to mention, New Horizons, that probe's mission's not over yet. It still has an 11-year mission ahead of it. Its mission's not scheduled to complete until 2026. And presently there are 2 KBOs, Kuiper Belt objects, that are in its sights as potential locations for a visit. That's going to be 2014 MT69 and MT70, a 60 kilometer and 76 kilometer object, both of which rather small, but this is kind of an either-or situation. They're going to have to very soon in the next several months, by the beginning of the next year at the latest, if I'm not mistaken, make a decision which of the 2 that they're going to go visit. MT69 would be passed right around New Year's in 2019, and MT70 roughly March-ish, if I read it correctly, March 2020. So there's still a lot of work to do, downloading the data and analyzing the data and waiting for the next stop on the mission that New Horizons has ahead of it. Now, right around episode 5, right before I published episode 5, I decided I wanted to go ahead and sign up for Twitter. Wanted to be able to announce the publishing of each of my videos as they posted. And that was about 2 weeks ago, and while I didn't really expect a whole lot out of it, turns out I've got a bunch of followers already. That's pretty cool, and I want to thank all of you. Now, I don't know how many of these are bots, but hey, any follower is a good follower, I guess. Through the chain of followers, I suppose somebody who's a real person following a bot or is followed by a bot might discover me. So, I would like to give a thanks to the following people, the following @s. And they are Adam464, Mr. Harry Britt, Gavin Toys, Night Shadow 321, By Franks, Kevin J, MMCC, Caleb Young, Your Act, looks like a serial number, Braun 23 Austin, Stefano Picaro, Weird _ Psy, Miley Costa 4646, Not Important PC, Christine Colvey 2, J4 YouTube UK, M Doodle 22, Longstaff Games, and Mashfeed. Thank you very much for following me. Now, on to the core of what's at the heart of this series, the Explore. This is a somewhat more recent build. Built this at some point after I recorded the last batch of videos, episodes 4, 5, and 6. This is the monument to the 0 point of this world. If you look at the F3 function, it tells you the XYZ coordinates of your location. If you look very, very carefully, here you can see that this corner of this diamond block is the 0 point of this world, and I'm not sure why, but I decided I wanted to build a monument to it. I think I mentioned that when I came through here, and I believe it was episode 1. Now, this isn't finished. I'm planning fountains and waterfalls and ringing this area with birch trees. If you haven't noticed, I really like birch trees. But Having grown up in New England, I was thinking about maybe building something a bit more rustic. A lot of visitor centers and points of interest in national parks and state parks. They have a bit more of a rustic feel to them, log cabins, clapboard siding, that sort of a thing. But once I started digging this area out, I decided, kind of almost last minute, that I was going to build it more of a monument style with not marble but quartz. That's what we have available in Minecraft, quartz. Decided I was going to build it more of a monument style sort of a thing. Reflecting pole, is going to be hedges and shrubs and flowers. This region of this world is one of the oldest spawned areas, and if I don't know, I could be mistaken, but it seems like the only flowers that actually populate the area are poppies and dandelions, the red and the yellow flowers. I don't know if bone meal is supposed to cause the other flower type styles and colors to spawn, but yeah, that's all I got in this region. So I'm going to have to make a trip out to, I believe it's the eastern frontier. Hell, I can't even remember. But I would like to decorate this area with lots of different colored flowers, and as I said, shrubs and birch trees, fountains. I'm thinking 2 fountains, the left and the right, waterfall cascading down the middle here perhaps, or maybe on both sides, and a staircase going up to the top to a viewing platform to look at the monument from above. I built this with, as I mentioned, quartz blocks and slabs. I do believe the bottom of this pool here is actually quartz slabs. I wanted to try to conserve the amount of quartz I was using. I mean, granted, I have a lot from building subways in the nether, but I still wanted to try to conserve it. I didn't know how much it would take to build this structure. Now, across the path here, or street, if you will, what I'm thinking of doing is building a visiting center of sorts, in keeping with the use of quartz. I believe I will probably build it out of quartz in a sort of a Greco-Roman column and beam sort of a style building. And I'm thinking on one side it's going to have a rather tall ceiling, roof, so that I can stitch together copies of the maps of this region into one giant large master map. We'll see how that goes. Let me go ahead and hop up here. Now that the sun is setting, you can see this area from in the dark. You can see the glowstone illuminating it. Very few torches in this area, but with the glowstone, lights it up quite nicely, I must say. Well, I do think that is about all I've got, folks. I've gone through my list of notes I have over here to the right. It's kind of, even though this is a hobby, I want to try to take this a bit seriously, do semi-regular releases and updates, and for this special edition news, if you will, update, I decided I wanted to write down some notes so I could make sure I got everything down that I wanted to talk about. Now, down below in the comments, do the whole YouTube thing, rate, comment, like, subscribe, and hey, you know what? If there's something I've mentioned in one of my previous videos that you would like me to go back to, or something you would like me to return to in and explore in deeper, more thorough detail, please let me know. Or if there's even something you'd like me to go build, tell me about that too. In a sense, I think what I'm saying is, let me be your puppet. Tell me what to do. Give me some ideas, folks. I'd like to know what you'd be interested in seeing. Returning to places I've already explored, or go explore places I've mentioned that I haven't been to yet. The majority of those, places like the Eastern Frontier and the Great Northern Fortress, I will at some point eventually actually go to those, so I don't worry about those. But if there's something in passing, like I said, let me know. Now I'm starting to ramble, so I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. Like I mentioned just a moment ago, do the YouTube thing down below. Rate, comment, like, subscribe, and those of you that you know who you are, if you think I'm a hack and I need to get off the internet, be sure to let me know in no uncertain terms what it is I'm doing wrong, why it's bad, and why I should feel bad. Well, until next time, folks, I'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.